Andrew Carnegie didn't become one of the richest men in history by grinding harder than everyone else. In an era where men worked themselves into early graves just to keep their businesses afloat, Carnegie was doing something different. He was doing something forbidden. He discovered a shortcut that let him control a global empire while doing far less than any of his competitors. He wasn't just winning, he was playing a completely different game. Today, I'm going to peel back the curtain and break down the exact system he used, and more importantly, how you can use these same levers to gain influence, leverage, and money in your own life. This is the blueprint for the lazy billionaire. In the late 1800s, America was a construction site made of raw iron and sweat. This was the Gilded Age, a brutal, high-stakes battlefield where men like JSB, Morgan, and Rockefeller were carving up the world like a Thanksgiving turkey. And in this era, there was a specific religion everyone followed: the cult of the grind. The titans of steel were obsessed with being the smartest, loudest, and most exhausted people in the room. They micromanaged every furnace, they hovered over every ledger until their eyes bled, and they bragged about 18-hour days as a badge of honor. They believed that to control an empire, you had to be the engine that ran it. To them, if the leader wasn't there to turn the gears simply stopped turning. They were dead wrong. The common misconception, the one still taught in business schools and hustle culture Twitter today, is that Andrew Carnegie won because he outworked everyone. We're told he was the ultimate hustler, the man who clawed his way from a bobbin boy to a billionaire through sheer, unmitigated effort. But the reality, it's almost insulting to his competitors. While other steel magnates were literally dying of stress-induced heart attacks at their desks, Carnegie was often found on 3-month-long vacations in the Highlands of Scotland. Think about that for a second. While the world's most intense industry was exploding, its leader was 3,000 miles away, reading, writing, and fishing. His mills weren't just surviving in his absence, they were producing more steel than the rest of the British Empire combined. This creates a massive tension that most people can't wrap their heads around. While his peers were drowning in daily operations, Carnegie was detached. He wasn't working in the business, he was architecting the system. He understood a secret his rivals missed, a secret that is even more true in our digital age. The man who works the hardest is usually the man with the least control. How could one man control the world's steel supply while doing significantly less manual work than the men he was beating? He wasn't working harder. He was using a specific framework of leverage, a shortcut that most people are simply too afraid to try. Why? Because it requires the one thing most leaders hate: letting go of the steering wheel. To build an empire without burning out, Carnegie followed a blueprint that most people ignore because it bruises their ego. The first 2 steps of that system are what allowed him to step away from the heat of the mills and into the role of a global architect. Step 1. Hire the best. Then give them total freedom. Most leaders hire people to tell them what to do. Carnegie hired people so they could tell him what to do. He famously said that his epitaph should read, "Here lies a man who knew how to enlist in his service better men than himself." He wasn't looking for yes men or cheap labor. He was looking for geniuses. But here is the shortcut. Once he found them, he didn't hover. He gave them the keys to the kingdom and stayed out of their way. In the modern world, your empire might be a business or a content channel. The trap is trying to be the best editor, the best researcher, and the best strategist all at once. Carnegie's shortcut is simple. Find the person who is 10% better than you at a specific task. Pay them well. And then this is the hard part: stop checking their emails. Step 2. Set non-negotiable standards. Freedom without boundaries is just chaos. Carnegie didn't micromanage how the work was done, but he was obsessed with the standard. He established rigid, non-negotiable rules for the quality of his steel and the safety of his operations. Within those boundaries, his managers were free to experiment and innovate. Outside of them, they were finished. In your life, this means creating substandard operating procedures. Don't tell your team how to spend their 8 hours. Tell them what the gold standard looks like for the final result. If the outcome meets the standard, the process belongs to them. This is how you gain your time back. You stop managing people, and you start managing the standard. Once Carnegie had the right people and the right standards in place, he implemented the final 2 pieces of the shortcut, the parts that allowed him to scale from a single mill to a global monopoly without ever breaking a sweat. Step 3. Monitor outcomes, not process. This is where most modern managers fail. They confuse hours worked with value created. Carnegie was one of the first titans to manage strictly by the numbers. He didn't care if his managers were at their desks at 8 o'clock a.m. or if they took a 3-hour lunch. He looked at the ledgers. If the cost per ton of steel went down, he rewarded them. If the quality stayed high, he left them alone. He realized that watching the process is a waste of a leader's time. Watching the outcome is the only thing that builds an empire. The modern lesson: stop tracking the clock, track the metrics. Whether it's views, conversion rates, or profit margins, if the needle is moving in the right direction, your system is working. Micromanagement is just a slow way to fail. Step 4. Scale influence quietly. Carnegie didn't feel the need to be the loudest person in the room. In fact, he often consolidated his power behind the scenes. While his competitors were busy making flashy announcements and fighting public battles, Carnegie was quietly building a web of influence. He knew that true power doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be indispensable. He built a reputation for such extreme efficiency that the market eventually stopped fighting him and started following him. By the time people realized how much power he had, it was already too late to stop him. The modern lesson: don't announce your moves. Announce your results. Build your authority through a system that works while you sleep. Leverage that quiet authority to enter new markets or scale your influence without having to beg for attention. At this point, you might be thinking, that worked for a steel tycoon in 1890, but I'm a creator, or I'm running a small startup in the digital age. The truth is, the physics of leverage haven't changed in 100 years. Only the tools have. Most people today are still trapped in their industrial mindset. They think they need to be the one to answer every DM, edit every frame, and handle every customer complaint. They are the bottleneck in their own empire. If you are a content creator, Carnegie's system means you stop being a video editor and start being a channel architect. You find a specialized editor, you set a non-negotiable style guide your SOP, and you judge the final video by the retention graph, not by how many hours they sat at the computer. Your job is to think of the next big idea, not to trim the dead air. If you are an entrepreneur, your goal is to build a business that is Carnegie-proof. If you can't walk away for a week without the revenue dropping, you don't have a business, you have a high-stress job with a boss who never sleeps. You must empower your team to make decisions within your standards, so you can focus on the high-leverage activities, strategy, partnerships, and growth. Most people think working harder is the key. Carnegie knew it's not about hours, it's about leverage. Whether it's using AI to automate your workflows or hiring a virtual assistant to protect your time, you are either the person turning the gears or the person designing the machine. One of those people is always tired. The other is Andrew Carnegie. The difference between those who grind and those who lead isn't talent, it's the systems they operate within. Andrew Carnegie didn't leave his success to chance, and neither should you. I've spent months distilling these high-leverage power systems into a single, simple playbook. It takes the abstract strategies we discussed today and turns them into a step-by-step manual that anyone can apply to their own career or business. It's designed for the person who is tired of being the bottleneck and ready to start building an empire that works while they don't. I'm breaking these power systems down into a simple playbook anyone can apply. The link will be in the description. The blueprint is ready. The question is, are you ready to let go of the steering wheel? I'll see you in the next breakdown.